I'm at a quiet lake, gonna do some tournament spey casting practice, some comp casting. Gonna work on my single spey and my snake roll, which is a good way to practice because you can get your 40-degree angle change. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. What I'm trying to do for the snake, or for the single spey, is point my feet towards the target. So if I'm casting this way, I'm pointing my feet at the target, right foot forward for the right hand cast. Then I'm gonna roll cast down to the dangle and rotate my body. Start my lift with my hands to the side. I'm gonna lift slow and smooth and try not to create any slack from here on out. I'm gonna start with my rod tip low. I'm gonna lift high enough, shotgun lift, which means both hands come up and they don't lift straight downstream. I'm gonna lift in the direction of the sweep. Okay, then I'm gonna lift high enough so I don't have to put too much effort in the sweep. If I sweep too low, I have to tense my body up so much I can barely get the sweep around. So I want it high enough to make the sweep manageable strength-wise, but I want it low enough that I don't have to come back down too far before the sweep and have a big dip, which will get you a dreaded bloody L. So sweep reasonably high but not too high, and then once I've swept, I push out with this bottom hand and rotate my body, lock these arms, rotate my body, and when I get about right here, just about ready to pass the target, that's when I'm gonna speed up the rotation in my body to the end of the sweep. I don't want the rod fully loaded as it's gonna get for my back cast. Don't want to really put a lot of bend in it till I get facing the target right now. Then I'm going to speed up my rotation, and that at the end of the sweep, I'm going to circle up and cast. And for the cast is like pounding a hammer. When you're driving a nail down, you have your translation, what they call translation, pull down hard. I'm going to be pulling hard down with both hands. And then at the end, I'm going to do what they call rotation, which I'm going to pull down and then rotate right at the end where I want that hammer to hit. That's what a forward spey cast is kind of like to me anyway. That's a good way for me to relate it. So, point towards the target, rotate my body, lift high but not too high, push out with my bottom hand and keep my hands real still for the sweep. When I get here, I'm going to speed up my body rotation, keep real rigid until I get to the end of the sweep. The sweep has to go from low to high. So if you do your lift too high, then you got to drop it back down to get your sweep to go from low to high. So I want medium lift. I might have, once I get all that line lifted off the water, I might drop it back down just a little bit. It's going to be so little and smooth that it's not going to create a big dip. It's going to be real gradual, okay? Lift, then I'm going to sweep and lower a little early, and then I'm going to go from low to high, rotating my body. Then I might rear back a little bit, drift back and up after the sweep. Because the sweep, you don't want to use your arms. That will give you a real inconsistent forward cast in single spey. You want to use that body to rotate, and then you're going from low to high, so the back of your D loop or your V loop is shaped like a V, a sideways V, because I went from as low as I could possibly get without too much dip too high. Okay, an incline plane is how we want our rod tip to move. Okay, so then after the sweep, I'm going to rotate around. Then, since I do my sweep with my hands in front of me, then if I want to drift back, I might after the sweep, and then both hands come down, forward, and translate at the end, with the weight forward to increase the length of the casting stroke. One of the things people bring out, well, when you cast longer belly lines, you just lengthen your stroke. And I guess you kind of do, but I like to have my, say, my Scandi stroke or my short belly, or at least short belly stroke or Scandi line stroke similar to my long belly stroke. So I'm gonna start my lift at the side for both of those casts. For underhand, you can start your lift here, and it's just a little hand movement, half circle. But for Spey casting and modern Scandi casting, I want to start with my hands to the side, and then it's not that my stroke's going to be that much longer till I get to the forward stroke, but my lift might be a little different. I'm going to use pure shotgun lift for this long a line. And then my rotation and my sweep isn't really that much longer, but it's got to be more powerful when I pass the target, okay? It's got to be lift, sweep, sweep harder, but you still got to keep your hands in front of your body. If you let your hands get behind your body in the sweep, you'll have a tendency for your rod tip to go down. So if you can keep everything in front of you, it's not that stroke is that much longer for the sweep between short belly and long belly. It's that you got more power in this part of it, and then you can drift up, circle up, maybe drift back a little bit if you want to lengthen your stroke. And then for the forward stroke, you know, for Scandi, it's kind of, I'm going to be keeping my elbow here and here. I'm just going to be going, boo, barely moving my front hand. I'm going to keep my elbow pinned to my rib cage, sweep around, lift, and then for Scandi, I try to not move my top hand a whole lot. For a longer belly, things are not that similar in the key position, or not that dissimilar in the key position, but my forward stroke is going to be more top hand, as much bottom hand as I can. It's got to be a combination of both top and bottom hand, and I'm going to go down and then translate at the end. So it is going to be a longer forward casting stroke, but it's mainly tempo and speed and power in the sweep, as opposed to lengthening the sweep by getting your arms way behind you. I know, because that's how I started out, and now I've learned the proper way. I'm rebuilding my single spey to keep my hands in front, to drift, and then forward cast accordingly to the length of my line. Anyway, I hope this helps. I'll do a little casting and see how it goes. that's my 2 cents worth on the single spey again. I'm trying to make my presentation a little better and improve my casting and share with whatever might help you if you're playing with your single spey. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. That's probably about all it's worth, but hey, that's 2 cents less than you would spend anywhere else for this kind of instruction. All right, let's cast a few. Another thing I want to have happen, I want when I land my anchor, I want to cast almost right over the front of the end of the anchor. So I want the anchor landing well in front of me. And I'm going to cast directly over about where the fly would be. I want those pretty close, not so close that I get a collision loop going, but close enough that my D-loop is straight behind me and lined up properly for the 180 degree principle. I want it casting right over the top of the end of that fly line. All right, it was a pretty bad day of casting. I had a little too much, just had a bad day. Anyway, still found myself using too much arm in the sweep and having a little too much line stick. Practice, practice, practice. Talk to you later.